All right, so I'm just getting my camera positioned in the tripod, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So there we go, and I'm going to zoom in. So I asked you to do numbers 2 through 6, all. Let's zoom in a little bit more. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and get started and ask people to join in. Awesome. So let's begin by start talking about number 1, because that really is where we started. On number 1, it says 1 times 30. So when I'm talking about place value, how many times would I move it? Well, hopefully you recognize I'm not going to move it at all, because any time I multiply a number by 1, my answer would stay the same. Perfect. So now let's move on to here. This number, if I said it in number names, would be, right, it would be 1/10. So I'm doing 1/10 times 30. Again, I'm multiplying by a fraction less than 1, which means my final product is going to be less than the given number. So it's going to be less than 30, which means it's getting smaller. And I need to figure out how many place values I'm moving over. So a tenth of, we're thinking 10 times greater, 10 times less, a tenth of is going to move over how many place values? Right, a tenth is only one place value. If it was 100th, that would be 2, 1,000th, that would be 3. Hey. So I need to think, where is my decimal on this whole number? Oh, some of us are saying there is none. There is none, but there is. It's not between the 3 and the 0. It's actually at the end. And so if I want to multiply by 1/10, then I know that that means it's getting one place value smaller. I would move it here, and what I end up with now is 3.0. But we don't say I have $3.00. We just say I have $3. So on a whole number, if there's just a 0 after the decimal or there's nothing after, you drop the 0, you drop the decimal. I'm right there. Now let's look at our next time. Our next one says 1 THT, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. It says 100th, so 100th times 30. And so here in this instance, I need to think, again, am I multiplying by a number greater than 1 or a number less than 1? Well, the 30 is greater than 1, but look at the other one that I'm multiplying it against. I think about the reciprocal of a fraction, it would be a whole number, so, and then the reciprocal of multiplication would be division. So this would be like saying divided by 100, or I'm moving over how many place values? Very good. 2 zeros, 2 place values, and same thing here. It's 2 digits after the decimal, which means I need to move this decimal over 2 digits. And again, you need to think, on a whole number, where's my decimal? Right, it's at the end, so I'm going to move it over 1, 2 place values. So what you end up with is this. However, I need to fix up some things. First, most of you notice that I need to add a 0 to hold that whole number place value. And the other biggest thing is I'm not going to call this 30 hundredths. I'm just going to call it 3/10. So recognizing the zeros at the end, you're going to drop any extra zeros. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at number 3. And I'm trying to tilt it because of the lighting. I should have good lighting. So here we go. So when I look at number 3 says, now I'm multiplying by exponents. And what we talked about in classes is that you're multiplying 10 this many times. So when I'm multiplying 10 this many times, that's telling me how many times greater it's going to be, or how many times I'm going to move the decimal. So if I'm multiplying the number 10 no times, then that means I'm going to do nothing to the number. So don't think about 10 times 0. It really is multiplying the number 10 no times. So if I'm not going to multiply it at all, it's going to stay the same. It's going to move over 0 place values. So it's just going to stay the same. Now again, here I'm multiplying the number 10. Hey, I'm multiplying the number 10 one time. So if it's going to be 10 times greater, that means I'm going to move the decimal over Right, 1 place value. This tells you how many times to move it over. Again, since I'm multiplying by a number greater than 1, my answer needs to become, right, it needs to become greater. So I need to think, am I going to move it to the left or to the right if I want it to be greater? All right, I'm going to move it to the right. So it's going to go over, again, 1 place value to the right because I'm multiplying the number 10 1 time. So 10 times greater. Now where's my decimal? Great. It's between the 2 and the 3. So what you end up with is something like this, but there's something I got to fix up on this because this is weird looking. Hopefully you recognize that if there's a 0 at the beginning of a whole number, you drop that 0. And you just have this, 2 and 3 tenths. Okay, likewise here, this is telling me to multiply the number 10 2 times. So that's like saying 10 times 10, which is 10 times 10 is 100, which 100 would mean how many place values? 2. And again, you can see that here, so you don't really need to multiply it out, but I always want you to understand why. Why are we doing this? In order for it to be 100 times greater, I've got to move it over 2 place values. So right here's where it is, and I'm multiplying by a number greater than 1, so we know we need to make it get bigger. This is 1 place value, and this is 2 place values. So now what is your new number? Right, you're getting something that's going to look kind of like this, but there's a little bit of an error that I need to fix up with that. Right, I need to drop the decimal. Anytime it's a whole number and there's a decimal at the end or there's just a 0 at the end, you're going to drop the 0, drop the decimal. I've got 23. And then again here, this time it's like saying multiplying the number 10 3 times. So 10 times 10 times 10, which would be moving it over 3 place values. I'm getting 10 times greater, 3 times over. So multiplying it 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times. Oh, that's weird. Huh. I don't have a digit there. So since I don't have a digit there, I need to figure out what do I need to do. Right, I have to put a 0 in there to represent that I have 0 ones. I have 2 hundredths and I have 3 tenths. I have to put a 0 in there to hold that place value to show I have 0 ones. And so now you come up with the number. Whoops. Yeah, we'll go backwards. 230. And again, wow, I need to get it together. 230. And again, you would drop the decimal at the end of that whole number. Perfect. So let's move on and look at number 4. Again, I like number 4 because number 4, it's got the decimals and it's a great, ooh, this is a little wobbly. I didn't tighten it. And I'm not going to because I just don't have that kind of time. Ain't nobody got no time for that? All right, here we go. That's better. A little bit. All right, so there we go. That is not a big number. All right, 390. Again, I'm going to go through that whole same process. If I multiply the number 390 1 time, it's not becoming 10 times greater at all, and in fact, it's going to stay it's going to stay the same, so it's 390. There's no zeros, so I'm not moving over any place values. This is like saying multiplying by 10 to the power of 0. I'm not multiplying by 10. Awesome, good job, Zombie Ninja. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to multiply 390 times, I need to think about that as a fraction because this confuses me. Let's see. Well, I know that's less than 1 because this has got no hole, so it's got to be getting... Hey, girl, hey! Hey, Carla. You know, I talk about you all the time, Carla. I really do. I talk about you and my other friend whose first name is Aiden, if you remember him. Anywho, so I'm multiplying the number 390 times, think about this as a fraction, times 1/10. You know that the 1 is in the place value, so 1/10. You need to think about how many times am I moving over the decimal. So Carla, while they're thinking about that, I hope that middle school is treating you awesome because you are awesome. So again, I need to think 390. Oh, that's awesome. My class loves me. They're just feeding you lies. They don't love me. Just kidding, sort of. So I need to think, where's my decimal and a whole number? And I know that on 390, it's at the end. So I want it to become smaller because I'm multiplying by a number less than 1. And 1/10 is 1 place value after the decimal. So I'm just going to move it over 1 place value, and now I have a number that looks kind of like this. There's a little bit of a problem with it. Right, I got to drop the 0 and I got to drop the decimal. There's nothing there. Let's get rid of it, and you should just have 39 whole. My class does actually love me, and they're actually pretty awesome, and I owe them cookies tomorrow, which they're like so excited about. So they get cookies each week if their behavior is awesome, and I have to tell you, their behavior is super awesome. And no, it's even greater. Oh, Zombie Ninja does love me. Well, thank you, love. What's even greater is that since I owe them cookies, we've actually been doing small group for math for the entire block. We like the whole time is small group. It's super awesome. Anyways, so 390 times, and again, I need to figure out how many times to move the decimal. Since the 1 is in the hundredths place, or the second digit after the decimal, I know that I'm needing to move it over 2 times. Again, think about this as a fraction. THT, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. This is in the hundredths place, so you could represent it as 1 hundredth. I'm going to move it over 2 place values. So again, 390. It's at the end of your whole number. Oh, you know what? I forgot to bring my book. Math Jokes for Mathy Folks. Oh, I'm hiding in my closet though, so I'm not going to go get it because my kids are super loud. So it's not going to happen. Yes, THD, tens, hundreds, thousands. So what we end up with is a number that looks kind of like this, but there's one thing that I need to do to fix it up. And again, that is that I need to drop the decimal. If I have a decimal at the end of my number, I can get rid of it. 90 hundredths is equivalent to 9 tenths. So just drop it. Boom, you got this little bad boy right there. 3 and 9 tenths. So I'm going to have you guys try some on your own, and I'm going to wrap it up for the night. If you have a question, if you need me to check it for you, you can. But on your own, you're going to try 5 and 6. And if you're trying to get a candy, I will give you a candy if you do number 8 and 9 on your own. If you do 8 and 9 on your own, then boom, you'll get a candy automatically. So again, you have to do 5 and 6. If you do 8 and 9, that will also give you a treat. Bye, Zombie Ninja. Oh, let me go back to where Carla's message was. Math is getting harder for me. I miss how you teach. You know, I hear that all the time. You know what I hear, Carla? I'm going to be honest with you. What I hear is that people say that teachers go too fast and like don't explain the why, and they don't chunk the steps. So that is like really like confusing, and like I'm teacher of the year. I didn't know if you know that. Hi, I'm teacher of the year. Woo! Yay, teacher of the year. So that was one of the things that they talked about, is how I really break it down and I make you guys explain why, and I don't really give it to you. You have to explain why. Like the response chain thing, like I'm so famous for the response chain. Anyways, I'm totally like random. It happens. Yay, finally. All right. Anyways, so Carla, I'm so glad to see you. It's funny because I really was talking about you the other day, no joke, because I loved that group. You guys were an awesome group. But yeah, I was actually talking about you specifically and just how awesome you did last year, and you just like blossomed, and I'm really proud of you and how well you did, and a couple other friends that were in that same class. I'm sure you could think of who they are. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to go make some mac and cheese for my churns. And Carla, I hope you come back on again. I always miss you. I want you to stay in contact because I'm sure I'll hear great things about you always. Bye, love, and everybody else have a great night. Bye, Zombie Ninja.